Welcome, dear listeners, to History with Herodotus, where we embark on a journey through the vast expanse of human experience, uncovering the hidden patterns and profound connections that shape our understanding of the world. Today, we find ourselves at the threshold of a pivotal moment in modern history as we delve into the fascinating tale of the Opium Wars. As we set out to explore this complex and captivating narrative, let us first establish the context in which these events unfolded. The late 18th century was a time of great transformation, marked by the rise of European colonial powers, the expansion of global trade, and the emergence of new economic systems. It was amidst this backdrop that the seeds of conflict were sown, as the British East India Company, driven by its insatiable pursuit of profit, began to exert its influence over the Indian subcontinent. In the year 1757, the British East India Company defeated the ruler of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dowlah, at the Battle of Plassey, marking the beginning of British colonial rule in India. As the British consolidated their power, they discovered the lucrative potential of opium, which was cultivated in the fertile regions of Bengal and Bihar. The opium trade, which had existed for centuries, now became a major source of revenue for the British East India Company, as it smuggled vast quantities of the drug into China, where it was sold to local merchants. As we journey to the year 1800, we find ourselves in the bustling port city of Canton, where the sounds of haggling merchants and the smells of incense, tea, and spices fill the air. It was here that British traders, frustrated by the restrictions imposed upon them by the Qing government, began to seek alternative means of gaining access to Chinese markets. The opium trade, with its promise of vast profits, became an increasingly attractive option. One of the key figures to emerge during this period was Lord William Pitt Amherst, the British East India Company's representative in China. Amherst, driven by a desire to expand British trade and influence, would play a pivotal role in the events that unfolded. Meanwhile, the Qing government, led by the Commissioner Lin Zexu, was determined to stem the flow of opium into China, recognizing the devastating impact it was having on the country's population. As tensions between China and the Western powers continued to escalate, the stage was set for a conflict that would have far-reaching consequences. The Opium Wars were not simply a clash between two nations, but a symptom of deeper tensions between East and West, as different cultures and civilizations struggled to understand and interact with one another. In the early 19th century, the Qing government issued a series of edicts prohibiting the importation of opium, but these efforts were largely ineffective in stemming the flow of the drug. The British, meanwhile, continued to push for greater access to Chinese markets, leading to a series of diplomatic crises that would eventually culminate in the outbreak of war. As we explore this complex web of events, we begin to see the outlines of a conflict that would reshape the global landscape. The Opium Wars were a turning point in modern history, marking the beginning of a new era of colonialism, imperialism, and global conflict. Join me, dear listeners, as we embark on this fascinating journey, exploring the pivotal events that would forever alter the course of modern history. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we continue our journey through the tumultuous period of the Opium Wars. As we delve deeper into this pivotal moment in modern history, we find ourselves in the midst of a maelstrom of diplomatic crises, military conflicts, and cultural clashes. The year 1839 marked a turning point in the Opium Wars, as the Qing government, led by Commissioner Lin Zexu, implemented a series of drastic measures to stem the flow of opium into China. The British, however, were determined to protect their lucrative trade, and tensions between the two nations continued to escalate. One of the most significant events of this period was the destruction of opium stocks at Canton, where British traders had been storing vast quantities of the drug. In June 1839, Commissioner Lin Zexu ordered the confiscation and destruction of over 20,000 chests of opium, valued at millions of dollars. This bold move sparked outrage among the British, who saw it as an attack on their property and interests. As the conflict intensified, the British launched a series of military campaigns against Chinese ports and cities, including Canton, Dorti, Ningpo, and Shanghai. The Qing government, despite its bravery, was ultimately unable to withstand the might of the British naval and military forces. In 1842, the Treaty of Nanjing was signed, marking the end of the First Opium War and the beginning of a new era of Western dominance in China. The treaty imposed harsh terms on China, including the opening of 5 ports to British trade, the establishment of British consular jurisdiction, and the payment of massive indemnities. The Qing government was also forced to cede Hong Kong to Britain, which would remain a British colony for over a century. As we reflect on this period, we are reminded of the words of Commissioner Lin Zexu, who wrote in a letter to Queen Victoria, "If you do not prohibit the sale of opium, then our two countries will be at odds, and the consequences will be dire." These prophetic words capture the essence of the conflict, which was driven by fundamental differences between East and West, as well as the clash of economic and cultural interests. The Opium Wars marked a turning point in modern history, as the Western powers, led by Britain, began to assert their dominance over China and other Asian nations. The consequences of this conflict were far-reaching, shaping the course of international relations, trade, and culture for centuries to come. Join me, dear listeners, as we continue our journey through the complexities of human experience, uncovering the hidden patterns and profound connections that shape our understanding of the world. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we conclude our journey through the tumultuous period of the Opium Wars. As we delve into the decline and aftermath of the Opium Wars, we find ourselves in a world forever changed by the clash of East and West. The Treaty of Nanjing, signed in 1842, marked the end of the First Opium War and imposed harsh terms on China, including the opening of 5 ports to British trade, the establishment of British consular jurisdiction, and the payment of massive indemnities. The Qing government was also forced to cede Hong Kong to Britain, which would remain a British colony for over a century. The Second Opium War, fought from 1856 to 1860, further solidified Western dominance in China, as the British and French launched a series of military campaigns against Chinese ports and cities. The Treaty of Tianjin, signed in 1858, imposed even more severe terms on China, including the opening of additional ports to trade, the establishment of foreign legations in Beijing, and the legalization of Christian missionary work. The Opium Wars had far-reaching consequences for China, marking the beginning of a period known as the Century of Humiliation. The country was forced to open its doors to Western trade and influence, leading to a decline in traditional industries and a loss of cultural identity. The Qing government, weakened by internal strife and external pressures, was ultimately overthrown in 1912, marking the end of imperial China. The legacy of the Opium Wars can still be seen today, as China continues to navigate its complex relationships with Western powers. The country's rapid modernization and economic growth have been accompanied by a renewed sense of nationalism and a desire to reclaim its place on the world stage. As we reflect on this pivotal moment in modern history, we are reminded of the profound impact that the clash of cultures and civilizations can have on the course of human events. As we conclude our journey through the Opium Wars, we are left with a deeper understanding of the complexities and nuances of this tumultuous period. We have seen how the conflict was driven by fundamental differences between East and West, as well as the clash of economic and cultural interests. We have also explored the far-reaching consequences of the war, including the decline of imperial China and the rise of Western dominance in Asia. In the words of Chinese historian and philosopher Wang Yidate, the Opium Wars were a turning point in modern Chinese history, marking the beginning of a new era of foreign invasion and internal strife. These words capture the essence of this pivotal moment in modern history, and serve as a reminder of the importance of understanding the complexities of human experience. Join me next time on History with Herodotus, as we explore more fascinating stories from the annals of history. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.